revenge. Justice is about helping others, okay? Justice is supposed to be just. I don't know how else to describe it. It's supposed to be about fucking equality. It's about making this country better. Like, what the fuck?
Please don't shoot him unarmed.
Like, what is this? What the fuck kind of take is this? Like, when people say, oh, well, what if someone raped you or raped your daughter or raped your mother or whatever? Like, no, you're not. Like killing that person is not going to help you, okay? It's not. And in America, people think justice is about revenge. You want to do honor killings, motherfucker? It's nuts. Like, yeah, you won't unrape someone by killing another person. But here's what you can do and what you should do. Rehabilitate that fucking rapist so he's no longer a rapist and can be an advocate to make the world a better place for so many other people. That's how it works. That's what it's supposed to be. And the perhaps the worst part about this argument is that our incarceration prone, revenge-focused, draconian understanding of criminal justice here in the United States is demonstrably a failure. It is perhaps the greatest failure of American civilization. This notion that we can subjugate people to a lifetime of slavery or take away their freedom in its entirety is the reason why we have 25% of the entire planet's incarcerated population.
I have been permanently banned from this community.
Nuts.
I'd like one rehabilitation, please.
Nuts. We do rehabilitation for fucking band chatters all the time, by the way. So
you frogs don't know about rehabilitation has mold.
So yeah. So that's actually a great take. We fucking unban people all the time.
Take a nice vacation and come back stronger than ever. Hassle.
Trump rushes to execute Bernard while mass murderer Nicholas Cruz is still sitting alive in a cell. I wonder what the difference is between them. You know what the difference is between them. Anyway. So, jurors that are involved on this case think that there should be a clemency, or at least his life should be spared. 5 of the jurors who sentenced him to death have changed their minds. The prosecutor on the case has changed their mind. But the Trump administration rushed to execute him yesterday. There were victims, a young white couple from Iowa named Todd and Stacy Bagley that were visiting Killeen, Texas, when they were carjacked and killed by a group of black teenagers. 2 of the teenagers, 19-year-old Christopher Villalba and 18-year-old Brandon Bernard, would go on trial for their lives.
Do you think death penalty is ever warranted? Also, our goat Hassan keep being the best streamer on Twitch.
Okay. The person who shot the Bagleys at close range was not Brandon Bernard. It was Christopher Villalba.
Code me go when? Pogo.
Okay?
Chungus.
But yet they were tried as a pair. You see the whack-ass statement by the family? What? The families and friends of the victims released these statements provided by the Bureau of Prisons. The family of Todd Bagley would like to thank President Donald Trump Jr., Attorney General. Oh, sick, dude. Okay, cool. Again, justice is not revenge. Justice is not revenge. The reason why I wanted to, one, start off by talking about what my point of view is on the capital punishment. And also, I got to run an ad right now. But the reason why I wanted to start off on what I think about capital punishment and my approach to justice, criminal justice reform, and how it should work in this country and how it doesn't, was because it doesn't matter what the fucking cases are, okay? It does not matter. It does not matter what the case is. It doesn't matter what the fucking details are. None of that matters. The state should not execute people. We do not live in fucking Hammurabi era. We don't live in a Hammurabi era of fucking criminal justice understanding, but yet for some reason that's the way people operate, and it's disgusting to me. An eye for an eye and the whole world goes blind.
State how powerful the deltas are.
I don't fucking care about this, dude. I can't listen to Joe Biden speak.
7 months already. Love you, Pops.
Fucking
house.
terrible, dude. Bernie Sanders came out and said Brandon Bernard should be alive today. We must end all federal executions and abolish the death penalty. In a world of incredible violence, the state should not be involved in premeditated murder. Yeah. So, hold on. I need more. I want to give you more details on Brandon Bernard. There was a national outcry to spare Brandon Bernard's life last night, or all throughout the day yesterday as well, but he was still declared dead at 9:27 p.m. last night. He was killed just as planned, despite a national outcry to save his life, making him the 9th person since July to be executed by the Trump administration. Before then, the federal government had not killed a death row inmate in 17 years. Donald Trump has rushed ahead in an unprecedented, ghastly spree. He has 4 more executions planned before Joe Biden takes office. Bernard was 40 years old. He was 18 when he was convicted in 1999 for the murder of Stacey and Todd Bagley, 2 youth ministers in Killeen, Texas. 2 white youth ministers in Killeen, Texas. That's definitely an important aspect of this. And by the way, it is a senseless fucking killing. It is a gross act of violence. Do not mistake what I am saying right now. Okay? But of course, their background and the people who ended up participating in the murder, or the murderer himself, and their background certainly matters, especially Texas. That also matters. These are all important factors of this. They were in a group of 5 young men, 5 young black men, who carjacked the Bagleys and drove around with them in the trunk before shooting the couple in the head and burning the car. The man who shot them, Christopher Villalba, was executed in September. Bernard set the fire. His lawyers argued that the prosecution withheld evidence that diminished his role in the crime. He was not a leader, they say, and had set the fire under fear for his life. 5 of the sentencing jurors said they would not have sent Bernard to death had they known. Bernard was barely a legal adult at the time of his crime. The federal government hasn't executed someone who committed a crime when they were that young in 70 years. In his life in incarceration, sentenced to death, Bernard lived a model life of reform. He became a friend to other men in his same circumstance. He was one of the go-to guys for help in there, one of them said. In his clemency petition, Bernard's lawyer said he took part in religious activities and outreach to young people. Even the prosecutor in his case supported a commutation of a sentence because of his remarkable record. Nevertheless, the Supreme Court of the United States was unmoved. Federal death row inmates are confined in a prison in Terre Haute, Indiana, in what is called a special confinement unit. They're kept alone in cells 23 hours a day. Disgusting, by the way. Again, that is torture. That is inhumane. That is something that we would criticize other countries for doing. That's gulag shit. You know what I mean? That is something that America has used in the past to criticize other countries that are foreign adversaries and the conditions that they have in their prisons. It's inhumane, but he killed 2 people. It's justified. First of all, he did not kill 2 people. He was an accomplice in the act of killing 2 people. And secondly, even if he did kill 2 people, if he is shown to have rehabilitated himself after 40 years, then no, it does not fucking work that way. Then he absolutely should have clemency. His sentence should be reduced. This is how it fucking works. So pay the fuck attention to the details of the case. Ban this fucker, but he was black. Yeah, exactly. No, he's not saying that. I don't think that person is saying that in a racist way. He's saying that literally because in the state of Texas, he was a black teenager who participated in murdering 2 fucking young white ministers. Okay, it doesn't. That's it. That's what they were saying. That's how this works.
Love
Him
you,
being
Hassie.
black
Happy 4
absolutely
months.
does
Confused
matter.
To another 4. Hassle.
Anyway, let's watch the fucking prosecutor and other people talk about it here. Here, this is Brandon Bernard's family. I gotta go pee. Also, before I go pee though, I have to run an ad. At top of the hour, every hour, we run a 6-second ad break. If you'd like an ad-free broadcasting experience, all you need to do is subscribe. You can subscribe for $5 by subscribing to my Twitch, or for free by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Here, I'm gonna go pee while I run this ad. Here.
In Terre Haute. As News 10's Sarah Lehman explains, the prosecutor who fought for his death sentence now says he doesn't deserve it.
In just 1 week, Brandon Bernard will be executed here in Terre Haute. That will make him the 9th inmate to be executed this year. Now, leading up to his execution, his family has been visiting him in prison here in Terre Haute. In 1999, Brandon Bernard was convicted of kidnapping and killing youth ministers Todd and Stacy Bagley, alongside Christopher Villalva. Villalva was executed back in September. Now, Bernard's family continues to visit him while they wait for the date of his execution.
It hurts, first of all, to know that they want to execute him.
It definitely sucks. When I got the news, it was kind of heartbreaking, shattered my world.
It's hard to, I guess, comprehend.
Doesn't fit his personality.
My heart is broken over the thought of my nephew being executed.
Coming from all across the country, Bernard has his brother, sister, mother, aunt, and daughter visiting him in prison.
I went there ready
Cyperpog.
to encourage him and be uplifting to him, and it was just the opposite. He uplifted us, and he's at peace.
3 months.
And
am I cool
he
now?
has accepted what has happened, but he is hopeful.
Angela Moore is the former federal prosecutor on Bernard's case. She says they found evidence since the conviction and sentence. She says it shows Bernard not shooting and killing the victim in the case. His family says the death penalty for Bernard is too harsh.
I don't believe,
Hi.
as the parent and a military disabled veteran.
Are you for the execution of Kyle Rittenhouse? No. Are you out of your fucking mind? Of course I'm not for the execution of Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse is like a perfect fucking clear-cut example of someone who absolutely can be rehabilitated and should be fucking rehabilitated. Why the fuck would I want to execute Kyle Rittenhouse, you fucking psychopath? Wait, he's 17 years old. Are you fucking nuts? Dude, yo, here's what dude. Yo, I think that's got to be either bait or that's got to be someone who's asking that question. No, not even life in prison for Kyle Rittenhouse either. Shut the fuck up. Dude, people, I think, come in here to like catch me slipping, I guess, like because they've created like a world view for themselves. Where they've created a fucking worldview for themselves in which they are house chat only at 16K, but so horny for capital punishment because my community has like changed a little bit in the past 2-3 days. Like it's all the shitters think that they can chime in because I'm paying attention to them. It's really fucked up. It's really fucked up, but hey, thanks. That's what it is. Like we went from being able to discuss trans issues at like 30,000 people without people freaking the fuck out and being transphobic to like 16,000 people fucking losing their shit. I don't think it's gaming viewers. I think it's mostly because, again, it's my fault. I'll take responsibility for it. I am focusing on negative comments, and that's the reason why there are so many people who are chiming in. And before, it was just the sea of like mostly good comments, and therefore it was hard for these people to come in and say weird shit. Not saying I agree with the death penalty, but there is the argument that the person that has committed a heinous crime has forfeited their rights and isn't worth spending the resources on, and killing them allows for those resources to be sent on those that deserve it. No, because that's not how that works. I'm against life sentences as well. I think that life sentences are also inhumane and they should be put an end to. Holy shit. Oh, thank you for the 20 tier 1 gift sub, Speed Razor.
I appreciate you and chat.
You ever been raped? No? Okay, shut the fuck up. Do you think the only people that write criminal justice proposals have been personally impacted? Have you ever been murdered? No. Then shut the fuck up, I guess. I guess you should see yourself out of this conversation considering that you're still alive. You haven't been murdered personally. So we can't have this conversation now. You're alive. I mean, barely. You're barely a sentient human being if that's the kind of point of view that you have. That's the worldview that you have. But like, hey. But again, justice is not vengeance, okay? Justice is not about vengeance. It's crazy. And while I admit that there are people who are impossible at this state with the limited knowledge that we have on rehabilitation, there are still certainly people that cannot be rehabilitated. So you extend their prison sentence in a similar capacity to what they do in Norway.
Rolled cake.
What about an eye for an eye? An eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. Like, I mean, fucking Hammurabi, man. This shit was like parsed through thousands of years ago. Like, I don't fucking get it. I don't understand. We're not fucking animals living in caves. Like, any therapist would not want a victim to harbor their wish of death on their rapist/assaulter. So crappy argument at that person. Yeah.
Wow, streamer sucks. Wide peepo happy.
The only type of people that should be potentially executed by the state are people who undergo extensive medical treatment and personally consent to euthanasia. That's it. Okay? If they want to be euthanized by the state, that's the only time the state should allow for an execution to occur. Okay? That's it. There's no like forcing murder upon someone, because that, I personally believe, also is at the heart of an anti-rehabilitative approach to criminal justice. That's the reason why we have so many hundreds of thousands of people in jail, if not almost 1 million plus people in jail that have not even fucking... We have people in jail that have not been convicted of crimes, hundreds of thousands of them. We have people in prison that have that are in there for drug offenses. Okay. Meanwhile, the family, the Sackler family, gets away scot-free from pumping people with OxyContin for years, and like personally, knowingly fucking doing this, even after they've gotten punished. They get away. The government can't even fucking take their assets away from them. Meanwhile, people who are fucking selling low-level drugs as a consequence of their own material conditions that they've been subjected to are in jail for the rest of their fucking lives. That shit is unacceptable. It's punitive versus rehabilitative debate. Conservatives believe justice is punitive, not rehabilitative. Exactly. As someone that has been raped, I would never advocate life sentencing, let alone the execution of my rapist. I hate this. I hate his faking guts, but neither I nor any living human should have the right to stall his potential for growth. Exactly. Instead of framing it as what if the victim was in your family, it should be that what if the crime was by someone in your family? Under zero conditions should the police or state kill your family member?
Yo.
Yes, but people don't see it that way. They're like, well, my family members would never do that. So they'll just be like, if one of them did, I wouldn't care.
Hassle, 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 hassle.
Anyway. Tell that one chatter that capital punishment is more expensive because of the moral considerations in enacting life sentences. Kids don't know the actual details of capital punishment. Also, yeah, the whole some people are innocent / can be reformed, which is more important, of course. Yeah. Everyone should be treated as someone who you can reform. Only that way can you treat the overwhelming majority of criminals that are locked in fucking prison right now with the decency that they deserve as human beings, so that they can better integrate into society once their sentence is over. Okay? Once they have served their fucking time. The entire purpose of this is not to just have these fucking massive concrete fucking slabs where we put all of these individuals who just cannot participate in society in meaningful ways away and lock them up and subjugate them to a lifetime of slavery and cruelty. The whole purpose is supposed to be rehabilitative, that they should be able to have inevitably an end to their sentence. You understand, right? That's why people that fucking steal don't go to jail for the rest of their lives. You understand that, right? Like, oh, you did a crime? Sorry. You literally have to go to jail for the rest of your life. You did a crime? There you go. Like, unless that's your fucking point of view, no crimes whatsoever. And if you do commit a crime, doesn't matter. Maybe you're innocent. Doesn't matter. Fuck it. We found you guilty. You have to go to jail for the rest of your fucking life. And you have to live with that for the rest of your life. Just fucking kill yourself is not an approach that you can ever have. A life sentence is 15 years. I double checked. What do you mean a life sentence is 15 years? No, a life sentence is a life sentence. Also, for certain crimes, it's 25 to life. Like, it starts off at 25. What are you saying?
Thanks for all you do.
Do you mean a life sentence in fucking Norway? In Norway, a life sentence, I believe, is maximum 15, right? Or in Sweden and Norway. Okay, yeah. With the possibility of parole, they look at your rehabilitation. And if they feel as though you have rehabilitated, then they will release you, or they will continue your sentence. They will add another fucking 15 if they want to. That's what Anders Breivik. That's the Anders Breivik situation. Even if it were 15, judges can give multiple sentences that add up to life anyway. Yeah. I think that the death penalty is purely political. It doesn't support capitalist endeavors within prison industrial complex. Modern incarceration post 18th century attempts to be rehabilitative, but the privatization of prisons allows for incarcerating people to spin the economic wheels. That is an entirely different part of this conversation that I don't even want to get to, but it's an extension. It is a logical conclusion of our draconian understanding and our capitalism prone politics. Like, that's when it's a powder keg. That's what happens when you like have this fucking delusional, almost childish view of the world that there are evil people and good people, okay? And evil people do bad things because they're bad, and good people do good things because they're good, and nothing the material conditions are just not important at all. When you view the world in such black and white terms, when you view the world in such fucking childish ways, and then you also add on fucking capitalism on top of that, you arrive at one of the most insane, immoral acts that any human being can engage in, which is the private prison industry. Profiting off of the enslavement of people. That is what that is. I'm sorry. Private prisons are modern day slavers. Okay? That's it. There's no difference of what they are doing. And they have also hyper-focused in the end of the Obama era, when private prisons were supposed to be written away, at least in the federal, at the federal level, private prisons were no longer going to exist. They focused their attention on immigration detention centers. And that's part of the reason why we saw these fucking deterrent strategies. It's disgusting. So you say that the quote by Dr. Ford Ring, who said that justice demands retribution, has no merit? What better retribution than having the person who fucking caused you so much harm actually go out in the world and do good for others? Be a benefit to others. Wait. Dr. Fordring? LMAO. It's a WoW. It's a World of Warcraft quote. Okay, what the fuck? All right, Chance's poop pants. You finally done it. Good job. I thought he meant like
you have
fucking...
changed my POV on this. I used to believe in revenge cause of my own trauma. Now I understand
there you go.
How it
you
is
did
immoral.
it. How do you
This
determine
is
if
why I
rehabilitation was...
You teach me so much. Hassle.
In all this death penalty talk seems to miss the extrajudicial execution of Michael Rennell. That's another part of it. Like that there is the extrajudicial murder of people that have not even fucking been convicted of a crime. Okay, it's something that we routinely fucking criticize in our criminal justice system with police extrajudicially murdering people. From 2000 to 2016, the number of people housed in private prisons increased 5 times faster than the total prison population. Over a similar time frame, the proportion of people detained in private immigration facilities increased by 442%. Sorry for spamming, but I genuinely want to know your take on this. I don't know if you experienced this. No, I did not experience the fucking the criminal people or like felons coming to fucking school and scaring the shit out of you because and telling you you'll get raped in prison if you go to jail. I did not experience that. I think it's so fucking strange that Americans do that. They frequently have comics come to instill in kids how bad it is to do crime and always focus on the consequences rather than talk about the cause that made them do the crime and to talk about their mistakes as if going to prison was enough to have their life turned around when the return to prison rate is still so high. Yes, recidivism. It's terrible. Here's my take. Drug addicts who get rehabilitated can end up relapsing. What's to say that murderers who get rehabilitated end up relapsing and murdering again? What happens then? No ban, just opinion. Okay, so I'm not going to ban you, obviously. It's a decent question. I think it's an honest question. Here's the thing. Murders don't fucking happen because someone is like just horny for murder, okay? Like addiction is a disease. It's a health problem and it should be treated as a health problem, right? But you don't get addicted to murder. There are people who literally cannot control their urges, okay? Antisocial personality disorders that allow that in the person who's experiencing that, like they make them devoid of empathy, and in some situations you can have literally like psychopathic murderers, right? Like violent psychopaths who act on their urges. Now they are overrepresented in the prison population, and they're overrepresented in, and this might shock you, CEOs and boardrooms. So there are, however, plenty of psychopaths or sociopaths who have been diagnosed who don't act on their urges, on their violent urges, or might not even have violent urges, rather. Okay? It is a very difficult part of the criminal justice system, but it's also a tiny part of the criminal justice system, okay? It is a minuscule but very hyper-focused on part. We always think about fucking people who like are serial killers who cannot control themselves, and unfortunately, what we do to them, and the reason why we think about only them is because it comes along with the justification for what happens to the rest of the prisoner population in this country. That's the reason why we hyper focus on those fucking people. Now, there's currently, as it stands, there is no proven way to rehabilitate a serial killer, not to the best of my knowledge. Okay, last time I checked, you just don't know what to do. You don't know how to fucking help or fix or rehabilitate a person who has acted on their psychopathic, violent urges. Okay, and another part of psychopathic criminals is that they are very good at, especially because if they have operated in society in normal ways for a very long time, they have figured out ways to manipulate people by acting like they do have empathy, right? It is a mental disorder. They get them the help they need, absolutely. But currently, the problem is in the field of medicine. Even when you talk about, even when you look at psychopathic murderers, it is very difficult to figure out if they have been truly rehabilitated, especially because in order to operate and not act on your urges as a sociopath, the thing that is the thing that fuck, I can't even talk. I just read something in the chat and it fucked me up. Yeah, antisocial personality disorder is one of the hardest personality disorders to treat. Exactly. Especially because it's very difficult. It's very difficult to treat because it's very difficult to fucking diagnose. And it's very difficult to figure out if they have been rehabilitated or not. This question about drug relapse versus murder relapse. We've only done a war on drugs. Death penalty and life sentences don't reduce murder rates. So maybe rethinking these things would actually help. Got to try something else. Same as not punishing drug addiction. Yeah. You're conflating psychopathy with violence, which isn't the case. Psychopathy is characterized by lack of empathy, emotional manipulation, goal fixation, and megalomania. Not all psychopaths are violent. This is a big stereotype. Many successful businessmen, sportsmen are psychopaths. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I should have clarified. It's not always manifested in violent ways. There are violent psychopaths and non-violent psychopaths. There are psychopaths who don't act on their urges as well, even if they are violent psychopaths. But the problem with like treating, it's just very difficult to fucking diagnose it, and it's very difficult to diagnose it, and it's very difficult to treat it, especially because psychopaths are very good at emotional manipulation because they have to act like they do not lack empathy to operate, and if you can do that, you can control a lot of these. You can control the way your output basically, and even convince a licensed and trained medical professional to seem like you have been rehabilitated when you haven't. Anyway. Regardless, though, it makes up a fucking fraction, okay? It makes up a fraction of the fucking crimes. It makes up a fraction of the fucking murders. Like, people aren't running around eating babies, okay? People aren't running around fucking doing mass murders all the goddamn time in a serial killer fashion. Like, most of the people that are in jail because they fucking had possession charges or drug dealing charges.
3. And
they're still in fucking jail. They're in jail for the rest of their lives, or they had 3 strikes. And they're now in prison for the rest of their fucking lives. Okay, it's nuts. It's nuts to assume that like everyone in fucking jail deserved to be there forever, or everyone in prison deserved to be there forever. It's crazy. Okay. And our understanding is so fucking broken. Our understanding is so fundamentally flawed that that's why we justify. That's why we justify these actions. I think I've talked enough about it, though. Here, it's just
the punishment.
Like this dude was caught up in horrible situation, acted what it seems like acted in defending himself from persecution or prosecution, and wanted to hide the fucking evidence of the action that someone in his group took. And because he lit the car on fire, the prosecutor, if I'm not mistaken, originally claimed that like the wife died in the car fire. Later, we found out that that wasn't even fucking real. That was a speculation. But they tied it as a double. They tied both of these people together, even though one of the people was the one who actually fucking killed this couple. And they did that so that they could get two fucking people out of it. Litmus test. Mitch McConnell is put online for execution. What do you do? No, of course not. There is not a person that I would fucking execute. Not Hitler, not fucking Nazis. No. Ultimately, you always have to focus on, like, we're talking about fucking theoretical approaches, but like ultimately you're supposed to fucking talk about what to do, okay? What to do with these people. Like, throw them under the jail if you want for the rest of their fucking lives, but there's no, not even Hitler. Like, we meme about it, but the reality is, like, everyone needs to be focused on as though they can be rehabilitated. There's also a difference between like taking matters into your own hands, and what do you call it?
Hi.
It's incredible you've explained your stance thoroughly, and chat is still like, but what if it's a war criminal? But why do prisoners deserve rights? Yeah, well, it's because that's what happens. No more SA, I swear. The 3 officers who watched George Floyd die should be executed by precedent of Bernard's execution sets. Yeah, well, there's no such precedent. Do you think prisons are even necessary? Where would you keep people undergoing rehab after committing a crime? Yes, I do think prisons are necessary. Some form of like like there has to be some fucking protection. There has to be.
Muchas gracias, Habimbo amigo.
What? Check these logs. Hello, it's me. Interrupt your soapbox piece. How do you pardon pedophiles and rapists? Would you pardon Jeffrey Epstein? Yes, you would. This is why people believe in QAnon. You are the most influential leftist political commentator, and you would pardon Jeffrey Epstein. You have lolly rape fantasies, don't you, lefty? Oh, this is fucking sick. I don't know why RTV fucking banned this guy. This guy's fucking awesome. Oh, well, it was an alt anyway. Who cares? I didn't say I would pardon anybody. But that's great. What is this? What? We did not add freeze all right now. Mike Pence prance claps to the stage for a campaign. What? I can't listen to the music, but a report came out that Senator Feinstein has severe memory problems. This is why she stepped down from a judicial committee. Yes, I know. Yes, I'm aware. I saw that report, and it's the least shocking thing I've ever fucking heard. And that Senator Feinstein should not occupy the seat. It's fucking completely psychotic. Anyway. Mr. Homophobic, dude. Yeah. Anyway.
Love you, man.
All right, let's move on from this. There is a rush of federal executions in Trump's final days, okay? Multiple people. Aside from Brandon Bernard, there is Alfred Bourgeois is on death row for torturing and beating his 2-year-old daughter to death. He's scheduled for execution on the 11th of December. An earlier execution date was stayed by a federal judge due to evidence from Bourgeois' legal team showing he had an intellectual disability. This ruling was overturned in October. Okay, by the way, fun fact, not a fun fact, a disgusting fact, but here it is. Bill Clinton began his campaign for the presidency in 1992 by executing a mentally ill black man as the governor for Arkansas. The execution of black men to demonstrate your toughness for political gain has long been a staple of American politics. So remember that. That's not even, that's black men with mental disabilities that get executed instead of incarcerated and cared after is a time-honored tradition. So intellectual disability or not, execute the fuck. Well, I mean, here, I'll allow that take so I can fucking execute you for 2 weeks, okay? How about that? Even though you have an intellectual disability as well, clearly, that makes you devoid of any sort of empathy or understanding. Lisa Montgomery strangled a pregnant woman in Missouri before cutting out and kidnapping the baby in 2004. Jesus Christ, she's scheduled for execution on 12th of January. Her lawyers have said she experienced brain damage from beatings as a child and suffers from serious mental illness. She'll be the first woman to face federal execution in the United States since 1953. I call that Slay Queen, okay? I call that equality. Thank you. Corey Johnson was convicted for the murder of 7 people related to his involvement with the drug trade in Richmond, Virginia. Johnson's legal team has argued that he suffers from an intellectual disability related to physical and emotional abuse he experienced as a child. His execution is scheduled for 14th of January. By the way, of course all of these people that are fucking slated for death row are going to have intellectual disabilities. They murdered 7 people. Like, no one who does not suffer from an intellectual disability does not end up fucking doing that. And by the way, that doesn't mean that people with intellectual disabilities are going to be all murderers. That's not how that works, obviously. But like very clearly, and this is something that fucking people get mad at, and they're like, "Oh, fuck you, that's ableist or whatever." But it's like, what do you call it? They're like, "Oh, fuck you, that's ableist." Like you're stigmatizing people with mental disabilities or something like that. So they all deserve to live? Yes, yes, they do. Because with things like death of children, people get more emotional and logical. It sways public opinion too much to be used for policy. Yeah. Case of Lisa Montgomery is tragic. She was pimped out by her parents, raped throughout her life, and forcibly married her stepbrother and forced sterilization. I can link her attorney's mitigation video if you're interested. Yeah. Dustin John Higgs was convicted in 1996 in kidnapping and murder of 3 young women in Washington, D.C. area. Higgs did not kill any of his victims. His co-defendant, Willis Haynes, did after being instructed to by Higgs. Haynes has said in court documents that Higgs did not threaten him or force him to shoot. Higgs is scheduled for execution on the 15th of January. How the fuck can we sentence that woman to death? That's insane. I mean, if you can demonstrate empathy for that person who has been raped and had a horrific beginning. 14-year-olds in chat advocate for the mentally ill to be executed, not realizing that by the time they are an adult, chances are that they will have experienced mental illness themselves. Oh yeah. Hey, get excited, by the way. If you're 16, like, you still have all the way to 25 until you start developing some of the cognitive disabilities that end up coming out. So get ready for that, okay? 17-year-olds who are fucking talking about murdering the mentally ill.
In a debate with someone who's citing an interview where co-founder of BLM describes themselves as trained Marxists and is using that to undermine legitimacy of the movement. I'm sure you've discussed this before, but could you talk more ABT that?
Anyway. What do you think about people calling euthanasia assisted suicide death with dignity? I don't want to understand it more. Yeah, it is. That is exactly what that is. Anyway. Don't you think, though, that if you commit a crime like this, there's a 100% chance that you have some sort of mental disability, making that argument kind of useless? And I'm not trying to defend the death penalty or anything. Just curious. Yeah, there is a very high likelihood that these are such incredible acts of violence, that it is likely that you might have some sort of other underlying condition that sparked it, but that underlying condition might have, in a lot of situations, that underlying condition is also beaten into you from your own abuse and trauma in your developmental years. But that doesn't make it a fucking bad argument. I don't give a shit. Like, what do you mean? It's only a bad argument if you still, no matter what, don't give a fuck, and you don't have an opinion on like executing mentally ill people. Like, you just don't care. It's only a bad argument if you yourself personally lack the empathy. I don't even want them to be murdered if they had full fucking cognitive abilities, okay? Like, anyway. Democrats have also proposed a 6-month freeze on coronavirus-related litigation, as well as creating a relief fund covering legal fees for businesses and schools that successfully defend against these suits. According to an aide familiar with the talks, the aide said Republicans have favored a liability shield that lasts at least 18 to 24 months. We're working on a relief fund, so the least of the victims of COVID exposure will have some measure to justice. Democrats are trying to fucking put together a relief fund for businesses and schools that force their employees to come back to work.
Have my dirty Bezos money, Arjan. You look good, chat. Have you lost weight?
Anyway. So, let's continue with the we're done with crime and punishment. I'm sick and tired of having this conversation. It's one that I have all too frequently, unfortunately. We're going to move on to a really insane Bernie Sanders, Stephanie Rule
Thanks for
convo that happened. Does anyone have the link?
Me and others informed and keeping up the
Does anyone have the link to the the Bernard Sanders? Oh, here it is. MSNBC, voice of the left, by the way. Remember, on MSNBC this morning, Senator Bernie Sanders was fired up about his demand for a $1,200 stimulus payments in a new COVID deal. Mnuchin proposed a $600 stimulus check last night. Sanders has previously said he would not support a bill if it excludes the $1,200 direct payments. Here is Bernie Sanders having a conversation with Stephanie Rule, who previously, if you remember, got mad at Joe Biden when Joe Biden was saying, like, you know, it's time to help. It's time to help Main Street, not Wall Street. And Stephanie Rule was like, "Why are you talking about people in Fifth Avenue? Aren't you like? Why are you excluding rich people from your campaign?" To fucking Joe Biden, okay, of all people. Joe, nothing will fundamentally change Biden. Stephanie Rule was upset at him for speaking out against the rich in what I consider to be one of Joe Biden's best rhetorical strategies. Let's continue.
Stephanie, I always get a kick. Here in Washington, when we go to war, there's endless amounts of money. Tax breaks for billionaires, endless amounts of money. Corporate welfare, endless amounts of money. When children are going hungry in America today, suddenly we don't have enough money. That's crap. That's wrong. And if we have got to stay here throughout Christmas, which is the last thing in the world that I would want to do, we are going to stay here because we are going to make sure that struggling working families in this country get the help they desperately need. You know, Stephanie,
Okay, so that's a great line. Where the fuck is Stephanie's reaction? That's the real thing that I wanted to talk about here. We already know what Bernie's fucking take is.
Joining us now, someone who I know cares a lot about this very issue.
So $500 for children. I think the Democratic caucus is ready to go forward on that. Yesterday, I sent out a letter with 5 other senators, and I think we can have virtually all of the United States Democratic senators on board. The question now...
Remember, the proposal that Bernie Sanders has now, the proposal that Bernie Sanders is advocating for right now is one that has bipartisan support. Who is also supporting it? Someone who I fucking despise, who does the fake populism that I think he's doing because they want to fucking run for president eventually, but Josh Hawley. So Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley are both agitating for $1,200. Josh Hawley's a Republican. So what's up? Why the fuck is MSNBC not sucking off Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley at the same time? Just like this, because they love bipartisanship. This is bipartisanship. Why aren't they fucking doing that right now? Huh? Maybe there's an economic reason for it. Maybe their ideology of neoliberalism dictates that, like, you can't give people too much money. That's a moral hazard.
Now is whether or not Mitch McConnell is going to turn his back, as your report just indicated, on the incredible suffering that the American people, the working people, are now experiencing. Unemployment high. We have a record level of hunger in America. Millions of people are facing evictions. This is an emergency. Congress has got to respond aggressively to help working families. You know, Stephanie, I always get a kick. Here in Washington, when we go to war, there's endless amounts of money. Tax breaks for billionaires, endless amounts of money. Corporate welfare, endless amounts of money. When children are going hungry in America today, suddenly we don't have enough money. That's crap. That's wrong. And if we have got to stay here throughout Christmas, which is the last thing in the world that I would want to do, we are going to stay here because we are going to make sure that struggling working families in this country get the help they desperately need.
Senator, I'm not agreeing with you fundamentally, but I want to talk to you practically. You've been the lead sponsor of 422 bills during your 30 years in Congress, but only 7 of them have become law.
So she's doing the I hear you, I see you, but you're simply, you fool. Like, you just don't understand. Like, this is just impossible. Let's take a look at what else. I lost it. When I saw this video, I was like, oh, fuck you. I mean, fuck you. Seriously. What a gigantic piece of fucking hot piling garbage, dude. You are barely fucking human. Like, when you have this approach, you are barely a human being, like a fully developed human being. It's fucking insane.
And how dire things are, as you just laid out. Do you need to find another lane or take a different approach here?
Hey, how about you find another fucking lane? How's that? Are you a fucking senator? Do you understand how bills are passed? Because it seems like you don't. You don't understand how many fucking politicians actually end up passing significant proposals. Like, I think that you shouldn't stay in your lane in this circumstance. You're a political commentator, but maybe a political commentator should know a little bit more about how many fucking bills are passed by the senators or congresspersons in general. Okay? Yeah, let me write a fucking bill to name some post offices so I can beef up my fucking numbers.
I don't think that's the issue, Stephanie. I mean, you can ask me how many other senators have passed significant legislation in recent years. Question is, you could name post offices and so forth and so on.
Love you,
some of the legislation that I've worked on, the Veterans Bill, for example, has been very significant in passing. But the issue right now is the United States Congress going to stand up for working people or not? And I am doing my best to rally not only Democrats, but Republicans as well. Now, as you may know,
again, imagine having a fucking pre-made graphic on a segment, by the way. That does not happen on accident. Like, chyrons even, like, are very easy to live edit, right? Chyrons? Like this, the lower thirds are easy to edit. And even all of that in a production process, for those of you who don't know, is pre-made because you know where you're going to take the conversation to. So what her team of producers did was create this graphic ahead of time so that they could use this as a talking point in a conversation where she could just own Bernie Sanders on the marketplace of ideas. This is a proposal that Bernie Sanders is on board with that Democrats advocated for. This idea is one that even Josh Hawley on the Republican side agrees with. This is not something that Bernie came up with on his own and is being a spoiler. This is holding Democrats to account on things that they have previously said that they would do. It's like if I were to criticize Joe Biden on not advocating for the public option. Let's take a look at someone's favorite radical. Someone's favorite radical progressive slay queen, Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's been in Congress for longer than Bernie Sanders has even. Sanders was the primary sponsor of 7 bills that were enacted. One of them was really good, especially the VA one. Nancy Pelosi has also been the primary sponsor of 7 bills that were enacted. Cool. Got it. The 7 sound like a lot. Very few bills are ever enacted. Most legislators sponsor only a handful that are signed into law. But there are other legislative activities that we don't track that are also important, including offering amendments, committee work, and oversight of the other branches and constituent services. Literally why debates are fucking bullshit? Exactly. Wow. That's crazy. San Francisco Old Mint Commemorative Coin Act. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like Nancy Pelosi hasn't done a fuckload, okay, as a legislator and as a leader in the Democratic Party. She has. But if you were to subject Nancy Pelosi to the same terms that you're subjecting Bernie Sanders' level of success in Congress to, then she would also come across as a silly person who should not be taken seriously. But Stephanie Ruhle would never do that because that's not Bernie Sanders. That's not the opposition. Nancy Pelosi is a slay queen and a profoundly important member of the Democratic establishment. Can I see Sanders' bills? Yeah, of course.
Sec who's the waiting room has Z.
The Postal Service one, a bill to amend Title 36, United States Code to improve federal charter of the Veterans Foreign Affairs of the United States, Veterans Compensation Cost of Living Adjustment Act of 2013, to designate the facility of the United States Postal Service again, granting the consent to Congress to the Vermont-New Hampshire Interstate Public Water Supply Compact, entitled the Taconic Mountains Protection Act of 1991, and to designate March 4th, 1991 as Vermont Bicentennial Day. Critiquing progressives on their effectiveness is like going to the Equal Justice Initiative and saying some shit like, only 50% of the cases that you take win. Maybe you should stop trying to save people on death row and instead take minor cases. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. It is insanely stupid. But it doesn't matter because stupid talking points are very effective. Stupid talking points for stupid people that already have made up their fucking worldview on, you know, the ineffectiveness of progressive people or any number of different things like that are going to work. They already have that built into the back of their fucking supermind or superdome, okay? They just get fucking telegraphed. They get this shit hammered to the back of their fucking minds over and over again, nonstop, talking about how progressives are bad. They're fucking terrible. They are ineffective. They're racist. You know? Any number of different things like that. This notion that she is saying, like, you are holding aid up from people who desperately need it is so fucking stupid, is so silly, is so frustrating. I get so mad, dude. It's like the $1,200 is absolutely a necessity in this circumstance, okay? Fuck you.
Acceptable. As your very excellent report indicated, all over the world, countries are responding to the pain that working families are experiencing. We have got to do the same.
This economic disaster is directly linked to the health crisis. Millions of not millions. We've got people going to work sick every single day because they don't have paid leave, because they're hourly workers. Should the government consider either forcing businesses or the government itself step in and offer paid leave? Because it's only worsening the spread that sick people are going to work every day because, unfortunately, they're making the decision, put food on the table for my kids or go to work sick and risk spreading this thing.
Well, Stephanie, as the previous report before you got on indicated, Benji indicated, we are unique among industrialized countries. Let's be clear, we are the only major country on earth